So CAnD3, what is it? The Consortium on Analytics for Data-Driven Decision-Making. It's a program that we deliver virtually out of McGill, but in partnership with several universities. And this year, for the first time in our 4 years of existence, we are opening it up more broadly. So some of you joining us online may be coming from other universities. If so, currently partner universities. If so, welcome and thank you for joining us. So without further ado, let me jump in. And pour commencer, j'aimerais faire reconnaître que l'Université McGill est sur un emplacement qui a longtemps servi de lieu de rencontre et d'échange entre les peuples autochtones, plusieurs peuples autochtones, dont les nations Haudenosaunee et Anishinaabe. Et ce qui est particulièrement précieux, c'est que ces peuples ont eu ce lieu de rencontre, en fait, a permis à plusieurs communautés de se rencontrer, ce qui est également le principe de CAnD3. And so this principle of community and engagement and coming together is something that we really espouse at CAnD3. And so it is with great pleasure and honor that we maintain that heritage and that legacy. And so why CAnD3? Why did we set it up, this program? The first of all, it's the recognition. And so you have to put yourself back a couple of years, really almost a decade, when this idea sprouted, where we weren't talking as much about aging societies. This was more of a novelty, a thing that demographers were worried about, but now that several countries have moved along the demographic transition and passed well beyond even the third demographic transition, notably India just last year was the latest country to join countries in the world that are below replacement fertility level. Now everybody's got population aging on their minds. And so the big challenge here is that we still do policy like we did in the past century, when population pyramids were actually a thing and didn't look like these kinds of bloated other structures that are very difficult to describe in some ways. And so we have far-reaching impacts, much well beyond studying older adults. And there's a training bottleneck. And in parallel, we've had a changing population data landscape. So we have new, of course, always survey and census data, but new forms of collecting them, diminishing response rates. How do we manage that? Linked administrative data are a way to kind of maybe get around that, perhaps. There's a lot of research being done to see if that's possible, but they are not by any means a panacea. And then big data. So big data, we could actually cross over big data, the so-called, Internet of Things, the wearables, but also the administrative data that are being collected on a daily basis. And so, this, as I said, is already a decade old, but it's still very, very true. We have so much data. What are we going to do with it? How are we going to interpret it, analyze it? And that's what data analytics bring us. And so perhaps not surprisingly, but actually inspiringly, the Canadian federal budget in 2018. And so we launched we applied for CAnD3. We ran a pilot project in 2017, applied for CAnD3 in 2019 and got started in 2020. And then the world changed, of course. But we were heading into an era where the Canadian government was squarely going forward in terms of developing data-driven decision-making. And so we have a lot of partners from the federal government because despite, those big ideas and wonderful big ideas, there wasn't the capacity. And so CAnD3 sprouted out of this recognition by many of our partners that they wanted to move forward on this question of harnessing big data to support better decision making, but that they didn't have the capacity. And so we looked at our program. They said, you have wonderful trainees. They know their stuff. They know their stats. They know their substantive areas. But what about data science? And also, we can't work with computer scientists who don't know population data. So how do we square that circle? And so this is where CAnD3 comes in. And so what is CAnD3? Well, it's a program that is not meant by any means to replace your programs. You are population scientists, you have been admitted in a department, a disciplinary department. And so what we offer is an additional layer of training. So it's a program that sets you apart from the training that you're already getting in your programs. We provide an enhanced skill set. So we have some exposure to leading edge suite of data science and policy mobilization skills. We connect you with experts, so our partners outside of academia, public, private, government, private, and nonprofit sectors. And also you connect with each other. That is a really, really key component of CAnD3. So it is interdisciplinary, it's intersectoral. You work together to learn and to provide more and better answers to complex problems. So this is a 12-month program. It is offered through hybrid training. You are granted a minimum fellowship of $5,000, and you have the opportunity to engage in 160 plus hours of experiential learning. It's up to you. You can do more. So this is the kind of bare bones of our program. Who are we? Well, there's at least half of us here in the room, but there's far more folks who are working tirelessly behind the scenes. Some of them are online, also supporting us remotely. So we have a really superb operations teams that ranges from our coordinator here, the real Ariane, and Katerina and Hachel and Divine Favor. And then we have shout out to Michaela, Clara, and Sakif online. And I'm probably forgetting some, and you can't see everybody. Okay, actually, you can't see anybody but me right now. Let's see. Let's fix that. I'm speaking to the people in the room. Sorry. There we go. Okay. So who are we beyond us here at McGill? So we are hosted by McGill. McGill is the host institution of this partnership grant, and notably the Center on Population Dynamics. And we have 38 other partners who are representing several universities from across Canada, the US and the UK, and also Germany. And also, of course, we are funded, and very generously so, and very, very grateful to be funded by the Social Sciences and Humanities Research Council of Canada. And this is a view of the academic partners who span, no, not just academic partners, I just noted a snapshot of probably not absolutely everybody, but a good number of our partners. It keeps growing, so we have to add them. Okay, so what is the training program? It covers, it is about population aging, but we take a very broad view of population aging. So you don't have to be studying the 65 plus olds to be interested. Actually, we argue we want to bring you into the fold if you haven't thought about population aging before, and see how your own area can be applied to this area of research. And you know, conversely, how it can cross-fertilize your thinking about your own area of research. We focus on family and social inclusion, education, labor and inequality, migration and ethnicity, and well-being and autonomy. We bring in elements of population data science and data-driven decision-making. So as I said, we have several colleagues who work in the data-driven decision-making sector. Our program has 6 key components. So these are essentially how we think of our program in terms of the modules. So we have our lunch and learns. These are on Wednesdays. You may have already attended some of them. So these are broad public talks on issues related to the 4 pillars that I mentioned before. After those lunch and learns, our fellows actually get, precious additional moment private with the speaker who to just go at it and ask their questions. They have readings that they can pour through and connect with that. Connect to Learns are our semi-public events. So these are events when we come together as a partnership And we grapple with issues. So we go at it, data visualization, discussions about integrated policy making with some decision makers, data ethics, for instance. So those are all our Connect to Learns, and our partners are invited and involved. Skills modules, those are available only to the fellows. So they are looking at, of course, developing your skills. But this ranges from qualitative research, so conducting focus groups, for instance, to learning about Python and machine learning. Professionalization, so we have several modules where we conduct kind of elements of thinking about your career, so whether it be in academia or outside of academia, career trajectories, discussions with people in the field, how did they get there, but also other types of professionalization skills, transversal skills that you can bring to other employment, such as how to manage group work in a more fluid way. And then finally, you have your internships and applied projects. So some of our partners offer internships, and we also encourage you, if you are not interested or you cannot secure an internship, to work on your applied project. So this is bringing some research that you're already doing and bringing it into a more applied perspective. And then here are some sprinkled throughout some testimonies from our fellows. So Eva Akimova was one of the first fellows, was part of the first cohort, our pilot cohort, who generously and very optimistically joined us in 2020 for this first cohort. And so Eva talked. Interestingly, Eva now works in data science very squarely at Oxford, but she brought up this idea that we also work on values. And notably, we're very, very focused on thinking about transparency, replicability. So one of the first modules that we provide you is a replicability, workflow replicability, and data management module, because we think, if we're going to get anywhere with our data, with our research, we have to be able to share it, and being able to replicate it is a key skill there. This is an example of activities from 22-23. So we meet starting from September to June, we meet pretty much every week. For a synchronous session of between 2 and 3 hours. And asynchronously, you have about 2 hours of work to do per week. So you have to commit to about 5 hours of work per week. So our stipend is meant to offset some of that cost, but also there's learning that goes on. So here the colors are referring to our different modules that I spoke about. So the yellow are Connect to Learns, nope, I don't see a Lunch and Learn there. The greens are Lunch and Learns, or turquoise, I guess, and the green are professionalization. And you see that we meet throughout, and we end in June with our capstone event, which is held at McGill. And this year is going to be on June 3rd. And I'm saying that because fellows who join us this year, like right now, the incoming cohort will be invited to join us in 2023, on June 3rd, as we did in 2023. So this is a picture of our cohort, our meeting in 2023, where we invited both the current cohort, the incoming cohort, and alumni to join us at McGill's beautiful faculty club. And here's another picture, actually, of us now off-site. So we started off, as I said, in 2020. And so the original program that I had in mind didn't turn out to be what we launched, obviously, given the circumstances. It was going to be an in-person program with some in-between remote components. And instead, of course, we had to launch a completely remote program, which we did. So we spent the summer 2020 working, building that remote program, ran it for all of 2020, most of 2021. And then in 2021, we got a little bit excited about things reopening. So we started to introduce more hybrid components. And now we are fully back into hybrid mode, including what we had planned, one of the key components that we had planned, namely that we go to our partners as well. So this is a picture of us in Florida, where they hosted us in the fall of 2023, if I got my dates right, to deliver a pup aging data viz over there. So that was a lot of fun. And so you see the current cohort. And if you're noticing the sharks there, it's because we had a little bit of a competition with the Shark Tank. So people did data visualizations and competed and won. So we tried to also bring some fun elements because learning is better that way. Okay, speaking about active learning and fun learning, experiential learning is a key component of what we do. This program is not your usual academic program. You don't get grades, you get experience, you get learning. You're your own active participant in that. So we will have multiple exercises and activities throughout the program. We have internships. We start you off by meeting the partners. And if you also have to do, if it's not an internship, you're going to have to do an applied research project. That may be your first choice as well. So our internships, we have most of our partners that offer internships. It can be throughout the year. So this is not something that is guaranteed in any way. It's actually what we provide is a connection. We provide a connection to our partners. And similarly, so we're kind of like a convener and a connector. I was going to say like a dating app, but no, that would be problematic. But no, so essentially we provide the contact and then you make your own case. So our partners will interview you for their own jobs. They will make the hiring. So we will, put you in touch and then it's up to you to woo them. So we have some questions, some further instructions that we can share if and when the case may be. So what to expect? What does it look like? You need to plan for about 5 hours per week of work/attendance. We will have a minimum of 4 synchronous activities per month. So you need to be able to participate during that time and the time that we set. So if you are admitted to the program, we have a mini contract where you confirm that you would be available for a set period of time. We set it in advance so you can already make your plans. You have to be an active self-directed learner. This is not, we do provide a lot of support. We have Defined Favor here who will be in touch if you disappear on us. We are using our learning analytics. So we use Canvas, which is a learning management system. If we notice that you're not connecting to Canvas, we'll reach out and so on and so forth. And so, and have discussions if it feels like maybe this is not the right time for you to pursue this learning. You need to think about how you tailor your learning to your career. So that doesn't mean that, so that means maybe you don't do everything at 150%. You need to see where the value is for you, but that doesn't mean that we want you to slack off. And especially when you have group work, because you will have a lot of group work, we expect that people will show up because that's just what respectful people do. You need to think about interactive learning. So you need to value the fact that your peers will bring perspectives that are valuable and that you will learn from. And on that, you need to give and take. So CAnD3 is built on the spirit of reciprocity, and you only will get as much as you give. So we have 2 final deliverables. And so there is kind of a bonus payment that's attached to inflation that we that you will receive of those 2 deliverables. So in June 2024, for this year, we have a final data viz and data story presentation for the Dragon's Den. So another kind of like friendly competition, and an e-portfolio. So that is also think of it as like your public persona document that we ask you to develop that, of course, can have value for well beyond CAnD3. Here is some words from one of our first postdoctoral fellow, Lucien Talbot. And Lucien is now at the Rotman School at the Institute for Gender and the Economy at the Rotman School of Management at the University of Toronto. And she already came to us with degrees in data science that she had done on her own, actually quite expensive ones. And yet she thought that this was an opportunity to upgrade her data science and policy skills and also to build her network. And so now I will stop and turn it over to the folks who are actually in this program. So we'll start with Maria Ahmed, who is a current fellow. So Maria, you're on I'll put you up on the screen here and turn it over to you.
Okay, great. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, wonderful. So hello, everyone. My name is Maria. I'm a third-year PhD candidate in the Department of Sociology at West.
This for it's okay. Go ahead. Sorry.
Okay. So just to kind of give an overview, my research interests are in health inequalities among marginalized populations. And so I connect this to how it might impact aging populations. So you really can be from a variety of backgrounds. And as Emily mentioned, I'm part of the current cohort of fellows at CAnD3. So I thought about what would be useful for you all to know. And I think that something that might be nice is just to share some of the ways that CAnD3 has benefited my career so far, and I hope that it can help you that way. So first of all, I found that the CAnD3 program really helped improve my technical skills. So for example, I've picked up hands-on skills on how to use R and Python, and have really developed technical skills like data visualization and data replicability. And as an example, in my current program, we do learn basic quantitative methods and we use data for that. But through CAnD3, I've now learned substantial data analysis and visualization through R. And this has really been a great resume booster because I've been increasingly finding that R has become the program of choice for both industry and public service. And anecdotally, I've heard that several Statistics Canada divisions have moved their SAS programming to R. In addition, I found that CAnD3 has also really helped in my substantive knowledge. So for example, we have monthly lunch and learns that Emily had mentioned and Meet the Speakers series. And so fellows get to learn from the movers and shakers of population researchers. And we get time where just the fellows can ask questions and connect with the speaker. So we've heard from leading researchers from Oxford University and Duke University, and we've heard from policymakers right in the public service within the government of Canada. So this really has served as an excellent learning opportunity and a networking opportunity. And then finally, I wanted to mention that I find that this program provides really amazing career advancing opportunities, and it's really up to you how many of these opportunities you want to seize. So for example, there are internship opportunities that Emily had mentioned, and then you can also apply for publishing opportunities, those you apply for, and then you can also work through publishing opportunities from the projects that you're working on in the CAnD3 program. So there's really never any busy work. It's stuff you can turn into actual publications. So in my case, as a SSHRC fellow, my goal was to focus just on my research areas. And so what I'm planning on doing is seizing the publishing opportunities available through this program. So now I have 3 projects that I can turn into publishing opportunities, such as a policy brief, an article, and even an infographic. And so the great thing about this program is that they really help guide you through these projects to get published. So there's a publishing coordinator, and this is a huge help for a lot of us that are, first time trying to get our work published. So it's just great guidance. And then I just wanted to close off by saying that there's tons of informal benefits too. So the friends that you make in your cohort, and the fact that you get to travel for workshops. So last year we went to Tallahassee, Florida for the population visualization workshop, and it was just phenomenal. And then every year we get to go to Montreal for the annual keynote. So that's going to be really exciting for this upcoming year, and I went last year as well. So yeah, I'll close off with that, and I'll be happy to take questions at the end.
I was muted. So thank you so much, Maria. That it's just, it warms my heart, just personally. I guess we just need to do this every year anyway. Thank you. That was really a great testimony. Really appreciate it. Okay, Clara, do you want to go next?
I lost my unmute button. Hello, everyone. My name is Clara. I am a CAnD3 alumni from the 2021-2022 cohort, and I happen to be a PhD student at McGill University in epidemiology, working with Amélie. So I was already a little bit in this community. And so first of all, what I'd say to begin with is that I echo a lot of what Maria just mentioned. My training, because it's in epidemiology, is quite quantitative, and we use we do a lot of kind of intensive quantitative methods. And what I pulled from the CAnD3 experience was really a broader perspective on a lot of these things. So first of all, for example, the ability to connect with a cohort of grad students that were across disciplines, so that was really valuable across both disciplines and universities. It really gave me a breadth of perspective. It helps build kind of an interdisciplinary network and break, or at least in my case, helped me break out of the sort of epidemiological space, which is really easy to fall into within my department. I also think it was a lovely opportunity to learn again from diverse perspectives and disciplines. When we were in team groups, we were really, bringing different things to the table and learning the various sort of disciplinary perspectives that each person brought to each exercise. Similarly, I think to what Maria said, it was an opportunity for me to build substantive knowledge about population aging. I do work in the field of aging personally. My thesis looks at social inequity and aging in place. And it was really interesting for me to have, or to hear from experts from across the board of academia, industry, government, and also the private sector about how they use aging in their work and how their work influences and kind of relates to the body of work on aging. We looked at new research methods. So for me, with a quantitative training, it was interesting to hear about focus groups and to push also my quant space even further with things like how to, use machine learning and Python. The modules that we had about data visualization and, for example, telling a compelling data story were very useful to me, because I find that in the training that our department offers, it's very focused on the sort of, focused on the research, but being able to take that research, take the finding, and to tell a story with that is both compelling to someone who may or may not have any background in what knowledge or what research you're doing. It was a really powerful tool for me that has helped me in a lot of ways. It's helped me write my papers, for example, the abstract. It's helped me at conferences, and I'm sure that it will help me when I hit the job market when I graduate. And maybe finally, what I'll mention is the ability to, or the capstone event that CAnD3 holds every year is a really wonderful opportunity to continue to connect with this growing community of CAnD3 fellows as well as partners. So really this, for me, was more than just a one-year experience. It's prolonged itself into a community.
Clara, and now we'll have Sakif joining us to give his perspective as well. Sakif, go ahead.
Okay. Hi, everyone. I think I know some of you online as well. And of course, I've been around the CAnD3 program for a while. So I'm a postdoctoral researcher at NYU, but I've been involved with CAnD3 since its inception all the way back in 2020. And so it's been deeply rewarding to see how far CAnD3 has come, how it's evolved. And of course, a lot of that evolution can be attributed to Amélie, her leadership, stewardship, vision over the years, but also, as Amélie mentioned, all the people who work behind the scenes. So people like Michaela, Divine Favor, Ariane, Ankun, Katarina, and the list goes on and on. So if you do join us next year as a part of CAnD3, you'll be really fortunate to have these people in your orbit as they kind of push CAnD3 forward in the coming years. Now, I can keep going on this tangent, but why I'm here is to give you some of my experiences as a CAnD3 fellow. So you may be wondering, how can I offer you perspectives? I was a part of this program so many years ago. So one of the things is, as CAnD3 has evolved over the years, but there's also been a lot of continuity. So a lot of the modules that we delivered for the first time in 2020, they still exist today, but they've been fine-tuned and reimagined over the years. We incorporate feedback, and we continue to try to tune and reimagine these modules to make them as helpful and beneficial to you all as possible. Now, with that in mind, I'm going to talk about 3 concrete skills or tools that I picked up in my first year as a CAnD3 fellow all the way back in 2020 that continue to sort of inform my workflow today. So first, as Amélie mentioned, we have one of the first modules, if not the first module, is on versioning in GitHub. So this was my first time being exposed to versioning in a pedagogical setting. And that's a module that's still delivered. It's led by Grant Gibson, and it's really impressive, right? And it shows you how to sort of build a replication package, how to think through making your research, your code reproducible. And especially these sorts of considerations are especially important nowadays as we move towards more open science and as transparency becomes more important for us as social and behavioral researchers. So two, CAnD3 forced me, well, not forced, incentivized me to get my academic website up and running. And that has paid dividends when I was in the job market earlier this year. Finally, as Clara mentioned, CAnD3 has modules on Python and machine learning that are on the books. And that was in 2021, I believe, with Michael Parrott, who's at QMSS in Columbia. And some of the skills I picked up there in terms of ensemble learning, decision tree classifiers, I'm still applying them to projects that I'm currently working on today. So CAnD3's fingerprints are all over, different projects I'm working on to the present day. But beyond these sorts of technical skills, CAnD3 also provides ample networking opportunities. So in 2021, I had a paid internship with the IRCC, so Immigration, Refugees, Citizenship Canada, and that was really cool. It gave me a peek behind the curtains, the bureaucratic machine that is government, but it also helped me forge some networks over there as well. But beyond that, as Clara mentioned, you also have an opportunity to network with other junior scholars, PhD candidates, postdocs in a variety of institutions, people who are going through the same ups and downs, the same struggles amidst all the volatility of an academic year. And so in my year specifically, it was, of course, in the throes of COVID, lockdown. And so it was really helpful to see familiar faces on a week-to-week basis. And we've tried to really underscore that point and try to, generate camaraderie, have a sense of community. And we've emphasized that over the years, and we've really worked that into the program. And it's especially fun when you get to see folks on an annual basis, when we see each other in person, whether it's, the keynote address or last year in Florida. And, the plan is for me to be back in Florida this year as well, 2024, correct? So that'll be fun to get to know some of the new cohort at that point too. So overall, what CAnD3 is offering in essence, it's giving you access to the sort of hidden curriculum, right, that graduate students are expected to figure out on their own. We're giving you access to it. We're making that available to you, and we're helping you hopefully forge some meaningful relationships at the same time. So that's all I have to say for now. But if you have any questions, I'd love to answer them in the Q&A period.
Thank you so much, Sakif. So just to be clear, none of this is scripted. Like, I'm hearing this for the first time with you all, so I just need a moment. This is just, thank you. Thanks to the three of you for your testimonies. It's really, really a lot. There's a lot that goes into that program, but to see you all thrive and flourish in this way is makes it all worth it. Okay. On that, so we do have a sorry, I'm clicking. There we go. We do have a Q&A part. So when when we get to that, please just make sure if you have questions for the fellows here or for the alumni, please go ahead. So convinced already? Maybe, hopefully. This is perhaps a little too small to read, but please snap the QR code so you can have all the information. And here we have our website where you have the application requirement for 24-25. We ask you to fill out the application form. So this is a Qualtrics survey. We do ask you to provide us with a one-page statement of interest, about 500 words, with explicit reference to what you're actually doing. What are your interests? How do you see them fitting into, research on aging in general? Again, do not have to be a researcher in geriatrics. So please consider that. How does it fit within what CAnD3 has to offer in terms of population dynamics in an aging society, population data science and research decision-making fit in your current thinking about your career plans. We understand that things change. Also, take a look at our former fellows. We now have 4 cohorts, 72 people that we have been our training. So you'll see the breadth and the diversity of folks who are coming in. That is actually, part of our DNA is EDI, equity, diversity, and inclusion. We breathe it, live it, teach it. So it's really important for us, and it's a key component of what we aim to support and foster. We do want to see a short resume/CV highlighting your relevant previous experiences, and unofficial undergrad and graduate transcripts, and a letter from your academic supervisor. So this is an additional program to whatever else you're engaged in. And we do not want to come between a rock and a hard place and maybe have at some point a supervisor come to us and be like, what is going on? My student is telling me that you are, asking so much work, and what is this deal? So we need your supervisor to be on board with this. And also it's a little bit of a, some supervisors have seen this and they're like, what is this marvelous thing? Can I get involved? So it's a little bit of promotion for us too, to kind of like reach to like-minded people and expand our network. That's always been our kind of our goal, is to the more the merrier and share in the learning. So in this, and also this year, we are accepting applications from students from non-partner universities, but we only have limited spots, unfortunately. Okay, so this is our timeline. So we are currently in the midst of recruitment and selection. So our application deadline is April 1st. So you have a couple of weeks still to apply. In June 2024, we will onboard you and provide you with an introduction to partners. We can already let you know that this would be June 3rd and 4th. However, this is all optional. So we are a fully hybrid organization. So if you cannot join us on June 3rd or June 4th in Montreal, we will provide you with opportunities to join us online. But as some have hinted, it's actually quite a fun event. So, and it's also nice to meet your future cohort partners and also meet all the fellows, the alumni, and the staff. So then, and in August, we will have as the start of the matching with internships, if applicable. So our partners will be sharing their job opportunities, and and you will be able to apply for them. And we will hold an R workshop in Montreal. So this is a boot camp that we offer for folks who want to kind of polish off their skills to get started. September to June 2025 active program. So this is weekly meeting attendance on Wednesdays and commitment of about 5 hours per week of participation in activities and exercises. A kind of heads up that in October 2024, as Sakib said, we are going back to Florida for the Pop Aging Data Viz workshop in Tallahassee at Florida State. In June 2025, we already have our dates booked at the faculty club for our other annual in-person event in Montreal. And so there would also be from September 24 to August 25, if applicable, if they're available, internships with partners. We do have travel expense coverage available for all of these events.